I didn't know, otters could even write, but here we are. Hello, hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Brandon Wheeler. I am a starting off indie author, and I'm former military. That's why I got the straw in my mouth because I had heat stroke. Something happens, I can't talk right unless I'm biting down something. Sounds like so that's why the straw. All right, moving on from that. But thank you for joining me on my channel on another book review day. But it's not just a regular book review. This is an indie book review. Of course, I've been trying to read through some classical stuff, literature, and everything else. Like I read Lord of the Rings and Great Gatsby. So this one, um, I'm on Twitter and I'm trying to get more involved with book Twitter and everything like that. Uh, and I like otters, and I see a lot of otter pictures and everything. And there's this one person who uses a pen name called like the Lord Otter. And I'm just like, whoa, okay, I don't know what this is, but all right. Now he's been advertising his book that he's made for a little bit, and I looked at it and I'm like, okay. And I've seen others, and I was like, you know what? I want to try to read an indie book because if I want people to read my books and be respectful of my things, I need to read other indie author books to get an idea of where everyone's at and everything like that. So I can, be appreciative and everyone else out there and help support the community. So, without further ado, I introduce to you by Lord Otter, Still in Stormbright, The Curse of the Star Wraiths. So, let me tell you first, what is it about? Let me read you the back, exactly what it says. In a world where gods walk alongside mortals and humanity is cowed into submission by the Emperor of Alcaron, two brothers find themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. Taken from their homes and subjected to terrors that would drive any man insane, Sarethas and Zolan will have to learn what it takes to be men, and in a world that appears indifferent to their very existence. Following their journey, our heroes shall find themselves pitted against a slew of unspeakable horrors. All the while, they are being pursued by General Saerst, or Saerst, I'm not exactly sure how to say it. Caerst, so I'm saying Saerst. I say Saerst. A woman whose reputation of malice knows no bounds. Nowhere is safe. Instead, both will have to learn the true meaning of strength, resolve, and friendship. They have to rise to the occasion when all else would rather have them turning away in fear. They have to become Steel and Stormbright. So, that is this. Now, I will talk first on the book cover art. This is great. Hand drawn, I think hand drawn, but at least drawn by somebody. Let me give credence to who drew it. It's in the thing. Cover by Neutron Boar. Neutron Boar. And I just noticed it's published by Alcaron Publishing, and the name of the place is Alcaron. What? the bad guy's the one to publish this book? But this is interesting. But you see the cover art and everything, and to bring out one of my books that I have. This is book 2 that I have. I do have author copies, but this is book 2 that I have in my series, the cover art and everything. So I'm glad to see more, hand-drawn cover art than anything. So, but the book is good art-wise and everything. And I bring up the art because there are some pictures. I picked up that certain one. There are some pictures in here that, there's some pictures and everything. And it's like, oh, okay. Let me tell you one thing real quick. I would say this is kind of a young adult book, if I can say that. And I'll show them out. Now, there's some pictures in here. I'll show you just a preview of that. What is the context of that and everything? I'm not going to give you any spoilers. But I'm going to say a little content warning for anyone interested in this book. A little bit of cursing, if that's what you care for. Some violence, of course, there's fighting and everything, so some violence. Sometimes descriptive, sometimes not. There's one picture of in the book, which I'm sure you can see online. I won't show it here. That is very. Let me put it to you this way: the villains in this are, if I had to put it in a way, like kind of like worshippers of Slanesh. If I have to put it in Warhammer terms. I put it in Warhammer terms because I just played a game today and I lost. Barely, but I lost. So it's just kind of like, if you know what I'm referencing, then like, okay. Pleasure and pain. Like Aphrodite, I don't think had stuff like this per se going on for her. That's what I'll say. I do bring up the Greek mythology because I wonder is like this is young adult. Now I've never read those books. Familiar with different Greek stuff, but like Percy and the Lightning Thief, something like that. That deals with the Greek god stuff. And I saw these books that deal with Egyptian god stuff a long time ago when I was in the bookstore. I was like, why is there Egyptian Greek god stuff now? But that's the popular thing. But Percy Jackson Olympians, whatever it's called. I kind of bring not that I know about it, but I never read it or anything. But I kind of bring that up because it has that flair, I guess, of kind of like gods and everything like that, and that's something that goes through in the book. I mean, that's what it says on the back. Like in a world where gods walks alongside mortals, that does deal with the book. I'm trying not to give a lot of spoilers because I want you to be like, if you want to read this and know what happens, like why they call it Steel and Stormbright, you're gonna have to read the book and find out. So I don't want to give any spoilers because I feel like, well, in order to find out stuff, you got to find out. Like, what is? I didn't. I'll admit, the title, "The Curse of the Star Wraiths," I didn't exactly pay attention to. It didn't really hit me like towards like the middle end. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what a Star Wraith is. I was like, oh, that's what it's dealing with the title. That's just me being slow. What is a Star Wraith, you may ask? They don't know either. I'll tell you that much, kind of. Maybe. Maybe not. It is something dealing with a book, some sort of creatures, maybe? Maybe not. You're just gonna have to read. I don't want to spoil everything that goes on. But basically these two boys, Evil Empire, they get put through a lot and just what goes on and everything. Now, if you want to infer from the cover, obviously you see that one is Steel and that one is Stormbright, obviously having like lightning between his fingertips, like something of weather. Oh, and there's a falcon as well. But what does that relate to how everything is? Again, you would just have to kind of read. Now, there is a couple things I want to bring up before I get into the story of without spoilers. I want to say feels like young adult, but I realized that I don't really know how to define young adult. Again, even though I've been wanting to be a writer for many years, and I've put out my couple books, I put them in the young adult category. Though I'm going to probably take them out of that because I feel like I could read like it's for teenagers, but mine are not really meant for teenagers. They're just friendly for teenagers, I'd say, but it's not really comparably. Whereas this one actually has more, some curse words and more stuff like that. Mine more just violent. It has some sensual references, specifically more in the first book. Not so much in the second, kind of. But the reason why I bring that up is because I ordered this last week, and I got it in on Saturday. I just finished it today. So not even almost a week to finish it. It is about 200 something pages because it's got a little bit of a glossary with some terms in the back, at least in my version. And I was wondering, like, why am I through 50 pages already before the book? Should I be reading it this fast? Because it took me, what, a couple weeks or like a week or more? Like a couple weeks to read Gates Gatsby, and this is like 100 pages. But that's much more, much more involved with how that works. So I feel like, and this is you want to say, not say a complaint or something like that. I do feel up until the middle. I feel in a way that, again, like the middle end, up until the middle, I feel like it was going too fast for reading and everything, how this book is. I felt like we're going very fast through a lot of things. I think we should have spent more time with them, kind of where they were at when they were, what kind of gives them this, that pit against the slowness because they're being pursued and stuff like that. So, they get captured, I will say that. But during that whole section, it just feels like we're going fast, 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 and how everything gets resolved in that. Like Stormbright, I can get like, okay, this was really about him, well, not really about him, but how everything, the story whenever it revolves around him is like, okay, it felt more natural and everything, but Steel, how he became known as Steel in a way is just like his quote unquote mentor that he gains. I don't really feel like it was warranted as much. Like we didn't spend much time with him at all, and he gets become known as a thief. And it's like I don't really see him being known as a thief or anything. Okay, he can lockpick, but well, I mean, multiple times he gets referred to as the young thief, and it's like I don't feel like he's a thief. Again, to spoil, this is not going to be the first book. This is going to be seemingly a series. How many in the series? I don't know. I know he's working on a sequel at least, which I'll read, you know, to see how it goes, because might as well. But it doesn't feel warranted that he's already like, okay, known as young thief and stuff like that. It's like, it's not like Aladdin here. I feel like I was going way too fast with how everything was going. Of course, that's my opinion. It could be completely different to what you say and everything. I guess I should have given a spoiler in the beginning. If I'm reading your book and it's an indie book and everything, classic is one thing, but an indie book is one thing. It is completely my opinion, not anybody else's. Don't take my review just as one thing. Please talk to others, see how it other is. You may enjoy the crap out of it. Whether I do or not is up to interpretation. So that is on thing. Just take the review and you see how it is. Again, I'm just talking about my complaint with it so far. I feel like it's just too fast going up to the middle. Once they hit the middle and we start going when they're with the other kingdom and everything and stuff, it's slowed down and it's like, okay, now we're starting to get there. But even then, there's certain points of starting to kind of speed up and stuff. I know sometimes, at least with my books, you know, we want to make them at a certain price point and fit them many pages and everything. For me, as writing wise, don't be afraid to have to make more. Like if you feel like your story, of course this is completely on the writer. If you feel like you need more to your story, like to flesh it out more or to make it longer, please do. I'd rather be longer and make it feel fuller than I would, you know, being almost too quick and fast reading than it was in the beginning. Of course, that's me. There may be others who be like, oh, I love how fast it's going. But to me, I wish there was a little bit more time in those and more explanation because it just felt like we're going real fast here on everything. So it's just like, but then again, this might be how young, this is why I want to bring this up because this may be how young adult books read. And I can't really judge that because a lot of the books I read are highfalutin adult stuff. Like the most young adult book I got is my favorite one, Anne Green Gables. So it's like, well, I got Narnia too, but I don't know where that's at. Even Narnia was slowed down. So I would say don't be afraid to extend and make more, and vice versa. Don't be afraid to make less, and what you do as well. Like for me, the reason why some of my books may be longer or shorter is because I think of originally, I wanted to do screenwriting, and in screenwriting, you have to get the plot going. No side stories, nothing. And I was like, but I want to show all this other stuff. No side stuff. So, but that's why for me, I'd like to write in a way where it's like everything is important, and I want to show everything that I want to have. So I write it in such a way that, yeah, all this is necessary. You can't just skip it out of a movie. No deleted scenes. That's my thing. Like, I'm not going to have any like deleted scenes in a movie type idea. So I'm okay with making things longer or shorter depending on how just the story is. Like my second book is like 60 pages shorter than my first book. But that's okay because that's the way the story is because I'd rather have just the story be told. I don't want to add extra fluff or anything if there's no reason for it. That's just me. And for the first part up into the middle and some places towards the end, I feel like it was just going too fast. Now, other than that, the action scenes are pretty good, and how the writing and everything is like, okay, you're describing some places more than other how the action is and stuff, and that's something I like to do is describing all the action type pieces and stuff. I do that with kind of my stuff. I like The reason why I do this, I thought about it for a long time. The reason why I do this is because the Hardy Boys. I read these, some Hardy Boy books growing up, and it would describe the action scenes. That's why I like doing that, because of the Hardy Boy books. I don't remember any of the Hardy books at all. I just remember the description of the action boy scenes, and that's what I do. So that's me though. So the action scenes are good. The explanation, a little bit of the world, how because it's a world that we're dealing with, is interesting. The Star Wraiths themselves, as it's not necessarily feels like it's fleshed out, but that's okay because of the nature of what the Star Wraiths are. Like it's called the Curse of the Star Wraiths. What's a Star Wraith? Do the Star Wraiths even know what they are? That's the question. But it's okay because that's the mystery behind it, and it's like okay, we don't necessarily need to address that mystery, especially if there's going to be sequels. It could be addressed later on. Um, a little shocking with some things, especially more towards the end. I was like, huh. Um, Villain wise, like they say, the General Surst, she's again. There's one portion is like Servants of Slanesh here, and it's a little bit of a well. If you saw Dune Part Two, but it's accurate slightly towards the book, but yeah, Dune Part Two moment as well. I'd say if you know what I'm referencing. Um, so overall, oh well, let me characters between Steel and Stormbright themselves. Again, I feel Stormbright feels more fleshed out than Steel, but that again deals with Steel's say upbringing. There are two distinct characters. That's great, but I feel Steel would have benefited more if we got to see more of the relationship between him and his mentor during the time they were captured and stuff. Because that portion was like, and it's like we could slow down here, but that's me. Others might read it and that'd be fine, but that's okay. So for me, I'd say out of like 5 star type thing, a good 4 star, 4.5 star. My main complaint is just being too fast in the beginning, but I bump up a little bit extra points because I actually do enjoy seeing some artwork and everything. It's not on every page, it's not on everything. There's maybe 7 pictures or so, plus a couple extras throughout the book, and that's like, okay, cool, I like that. So my only thing is just like maybe just slow down on the portion. But other than that, the book is interesting. It's a little, again, interesting artwork. Got an interesting villain. It makes me wonder how they're going to beat these Slanesh worshippers, essentially. But so I'm going to link, because that's what I will do. I will link to this book in my description. It's on Amazon if you want to buy it. Please go if you do. If you do, please also go give a rating, which I'm going to do, and tell the author what he thinks and everything, because it takes a lot of effort to put out a book and stuff. So that's the interesting thing about it. So I thank you for the opportunity to let me read it. I'll see what the rest of the series goes through because that's what we're here to do. And I mean, it's just very interesting, like how it all went. So, all right. So that is the first Steel and Stormbright. I know I could talk a lot more about it, but the thing is that I don't want to spoil the book. That's the issue, because if I spoil it, then it's like, well, how am I supposed to know read it? Great Gatsby, everyone knows it. And the Green Gables, everyone knows it. Dune, not everyone exactly knows it, but Dune. So it's just like, oh, Jurassic Park, completely different, just so you know. But yeah. So, all right. Well, if you've checked out this book, let me know what you think, and let the author know what you think. Go check it out. I'll link my books too. But please, go look at his book. It's easy to remember because it's written by an otter. Very distinctive. How does an otter write anything? All right. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next book review. Goodbye.